kita akan mereview apa yang dibahas, dibicarakan dalam sesi 1. Tujuannya agar kita semua peserta dari virtual dialog ini memperoleh pemahaman yang paripurna, yang lengkap. Kita saling memberikan interpretasi. Sehingga kita selesai dari acara ini, sesi 1, sesi 2, memperoleh pemahaman yang lengkap, akurat, dan paripurna. Saya kira itu mungkin setengah jam, 30 menit sesi kedua dalam bahasa Indonesia dihadiri oleh kita-kita saja. Mungkin demikian Kak. Videonya kalau ada ya, ada video nggak ya? Untuk mengisi.
Videonya mungkin bisa diputar.
Sekaligus tes. Ini video JIS ya, bagus. Suaranya belum ada.
Suaranya belum masuk juga.
Pramuka sejawa, petugas muda, berjiwa satria, lestarikan budaya adiluhur, menguatkan jati diri bangsa.
wondrous civilization. Disposed to tranquility. With scenic landscapes bordered by the sea. Here, mythologies become principle. And religions create the cornerstones of life. It is contained in the arts and crafts, where celestial ceremonies become part of popular culture. Legacies of glorious traditions, where folktales are regarded as guidebooks to perfection, honed over centuries, yet possible to experience within a few hours. Experiences you can take home. Here, art preservation is a tourist attraction. History is a living monument. Even shopping is meaningful. See world-famous resorts compete with local means of accommodation. Enjoy natural kindness. Or the excitement of exploring nature. With endless stories to tell. And never-ending feasts. Never-ending possibilities. To get more out of life and journeys. Yogyakarta. Wonderful.
Michael is coming in.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Are everyone already here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Hello, Kak Brata.
Yes, very
here.
good afternoon.
Hello, Kak Rasheed.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Okay.
Oh, Michael. Oh, welcome.
Hello. Can
Hi.
you see me?
Yes,
Not
Alex, can you see me?
your
Yes,
name.
you can.
Your name.
Sorry. Thank you.
Good morning. Brother, can you see me on your screen?
No, not
hello,
yet.
Michael. Not yet.
Not
You
yet.
have
We
to
hear
share
your
screen.
voice,
Your voice is very clear.
You
but
have
not
to
your
click
face.
share video. Share video.
Yes.
Uh,
Your close friend, Mr. Alex, is here already.
yes, I can see him there.
You have to click share video, Michael.
Yes, I am sharing window. Let's start video. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Huh?
All right.
Great.
Excellent.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, Princess. How are you, Princess?
Hello, how are
Greetings,
you?
Princess.
Hello. Can you see me?
Hi.
Mr. Facebook, can you see me?
Oh,
I should see you, but now I can see you
Yes. Can you hear me?
loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Just trying to fix
I
that.
can see you. I
Is that
can
a
hear
bit
you.
better?
Yes,
All right. Well,
very
I
good.
promised you, Brata, that I would wear Scout uniform, and I'm in Scout uniform.
Yes. Very
Yes.
nice. Very
Great.
nice.
Absolutely. And I see the general here, the 6-star general, is wearing all his
Michael,
medals.
but the pirate is
Darling,
here
good
and the
company.
princess is over there on your right, and the beautiful lady is Princess, the granddaughter of the founder of Indonesian
Ah,
Scouting. Is
here.
meeting the founder of World
This is-
Scouting now.
Princess
Hello.
Shawaris.
Kameranya.
This is the princess here. I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see. I can't
So-
pronounce your name, Anashatierra, but it looks very impressive.
Yes. So, Michael, I should explain to you that Princess Mangkubumi is the granddaughter of the Indonesian Scout father,
Oh,
the Sultan of Yogyakarta, the 9th. While you yourself, you are the grandson of the Lord Baden Powell, the founder of scouting in the world. So this is between grandson and granddaughter.
It's
I
great.
feel honoured already, and I'm glad to, at long last, Your Highness, I'm glad at long last we've met after such a long time.
Yes.
Mr. Wong has been trying to get you and I together for a very long time.
Yes.
But now he's succeeded. Well done, Mr. Facebook.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for everyone.
Yes, yes.
So,
So, go on, Brett, are you all set to go?
yes, I would like to ask, while also we are waiting for Mr. Craig Turpie, the chairman of the World Scout Committee. He confirmed last night to join and say a few words to all of us here by himself.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
yes.
Good. Will he be speaking in English or Indonesian?
I think he
I
speaks.
like that joke.
But I'm sorry, Your Highness, I
Yes.
don't speak
Sense of
Indonesian,
humor.
and I don't understand it either. But you're at an advantage because I believe you speak very good English.
Indeed.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully you
yes,
will understand us.
yes.
Okay, Nasa.
Anyway, congratulations, Brata. You started this broadcast right on time. My clock has only just turned 6 o'clock, so you've done very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
It's
Mr.
pretty
Michael.
remarkable, isn't it? How here we are, you're in Indonesia, Alex is in Hong Kong, I'm here in Australia, in our own homes with our Scout uniforms on, and how technology has made that possible. It's quite remarkable when you think about it.
Indeed.
Yes.
And not only, I should call you Kak Michael. Kak in Indonesian language means brother.
That would be a good idea.
Thank you. So Kak Michael, not only us here, we have also attended by 46 scout leaders, eminent scout leaders from 12 countries.
Wow.
Yes, they are all here. Plus,
Oh, that's good.
yes, plus 1,400 participants from Indonesia. And as I explained to you yesterday,
yes,
like in one district in Probolinggo in East Java, they do it in a hall. So everyone can look at you, look at us together.
Absolutely.
In one truth.
Phew, one troop, 1,400. That's a pretty good effort.
Okay.
Now, Alex, I presume you're sitting in your office at home, are you?
I'm in my studies. I'm holding your daddy and granddad.
Oh, I see.
All right.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah, Giles' book. Yeah, Tim
Oh.
Giles.
I'm waiting for an opportunity to say that you are wrong, and then I turn to the page.
Yes,
Okay.
I
I think
Craig is here. Hello.
Michael, Craig Turpey is here. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Great pleasure.
Craig, good
Good
morning.
afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon
morning.
here.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Great.
Yes.
Morning in Australia.
It's Craig Turpey. Long time no see, Craig.
Yeah, I think
Craig,
the last
can
time
I
I saw you,
interrupt by
Michael,
saying
was
that
at
on your
Gilwell
left,
Park.
on the
I
screen
think
of
the
Michael,
last
of
time
course
we
you
met
know,
was in
and
America.
further left
would
to
you believe?
Michael is Princess GKR, the granddaughter of the founder of Indonesia Scouting, who was also a bronze wolf holder. And she is the chairwoman of the Yogyakarta Scout Council.
Delighted to meet you.
So, Craig, I should call you Kak Craig. Kak in Indonesian language means brother. So, like what Kak Alex have just said, this afternoon we are going to see the meeting, the interaction between granddaughter of Indonesian Scout father and the granddaughter of the Scout founder. So it's very interesting. This is a history for scouting in the world.
No, not
Fantastic.
speaking to the
Very exciting.
granddaughter founder.
Grandson.
Grandson. Yes.
Grandson, sorry.
Nice
Yes,
one,
grandson.
Craig. You picked that one up quickly.
Grandson and granddaughter. Sorry. Okay, we have our moderator, our Rover. She is
Yes,
17
she's
years
up here.
old. NASA. If everyone ready, NASA will start our interaction in this virtual dialogue. NASA?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Are you all set and ready?
Yes.
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 Okay. Should we start it now?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that my voice is clear, right? Or is there anything
Very
that
clear.
bothering you?
Very clear.
No.
Okay.
All I'm expecting is a lot of people to ask me a lot of questions, which I'll do my very best
Yes, of
not to
course.
confuse and to answer.
Yes.
But I'm not going to stand up and give a long-winded speech. Definitely not. We're here as brother scouts and sister scouts, and we're here to get to know each other, particularly the princess.
Thank you.
And it's important that we all get to know each other and use the basics of scouting to help us understand each other much better.
Thank you.
Okay.
NASA?
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
Nasha. Sorry, Nasha.
Yes?
You call Kak Hasto because he's representative of the Kakwarnas, Kak Budi Waseso.
Okay. I will check it first, please. Wait a
Yes.
minute. Okay. Kak
Hasto.
Hasto. Okay. Waka Bila Negara.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Princess Mangkubumi has just informed us that our Chief Commissioner, Mr. Budi Waseso, will also be here, represented by one of the Vice Chairperson of Indonesian Scout National Headquarters Board. So he is Mr. Hasto. And
Here he is.
yes,
The
he's
man
coming.
himself.
He's in the
Yes.
yes.
Hello, Kak Hasto.
Yes.
Halo.
Yeah.
Selamat Pramuka.
Hello.
Salam. Yes, Kak Hasto, representation of our Chief Commissioner is here already. So let's
Okay.
start. Let's start, Nasa.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, dear brother and sister Scout. Salam Pramuka, Scout
Salam.
How are you now? I hope you all are in a good condition. Let's thank God that we are all safe from COVID-19. Stay healthy and remain happy today. Please let me introduce myself a little bit. I'm Nasha, 17 years old. I'm a rover of Yogyakarta Scout. It's a great pleasure for me to chair this webinar, and I feel safe since I have my scout leader, Kak Brata Triana Harjo Subroto, and also Kak Suwarsih Madya, who available to support me. Hello, Kak Brata and Kak Warsi.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay. For all the participants, just for the information that this dialogue is meant to elevate the young members' vision, views, motivation, and spirit in scouting, and the topics relates to various scouts' actions, from coping with new normal values and protocol of COVID-19 to scout contribution for achieving SDGs, or we know it as Sustainable Development Goals. So today's webinar will last for 90 minutes, and let's use our time efficiently. Dan sedikit untuk kakak-kakak dari Pramuka Indonesia yang sudah bergabung. Selamat bergabung dan terima kasih atas antusiasme kakak-kakak yang sangat tinggi. Dan kami mohon maaf atas keterbatasan link Zoom yang terbatas sehingga tidak seluruh partisipan dapat bergabung. Dan setelah ini, sebagai informasi, setelah dialog bahasa Inggris selesai, nanti akan kita sambung dengan pembahasan sedikit dalam bahasa Indonesia, sehingga mohon untuk kakak-kakak semua mempersiapkan diri. Okay. I'm glad to share the good news that our webinar today, maybe the first of its kind in the world, is attended by more than 1,000 Scout members from, I believe that it should be more than 15 NSOs, which already written here is Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei Darussalam, the Philippines, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Algeria, USA, Bangladesh, Brazil, Mexico, Finland, India, Nigeria, and of course, Indonesia. So in this international webinar, the first ever in our whole Scout program, it is such a pleasure for having Her Royal Highness Mangkubumi from Yogyakarta, Indonesia as the host of this webinar. Hello, Kak Mangkubumi.
Hello.
And also Mr. Craig Turpie, or Kak Brata already explained that I will call you Kak Craig Turpie. Hello, Kak Craig Turpie.
Hello.
Okay, he is the chairperson of World Scout Committee who will give his speech in this webinar. Oh, we also have three amazing speakers. They are, the first one is Lord Michael Baden Powell of Gilwell, the fourth Baron Baden Powell from Australia. Hello, Kak Michael.
Hello. Hello.
And then the second one is Mr. Alex Wong, or please let me call you Kak Alex Wong from Hong Kong. Hello, Kak Alex. Okay, and then there is Kak Abdullah Rasheed from Maldives. Hello, Kak Abdullah Rasheed. Okay, last but not least, also our awesome co-host, Kak Brata, from National Scout Headquarters Gerakan Pramuka, Indonesia. Hello, Kak Brata.
Hello, and also welcome Kak Hasto, representation from our Chief Commissioner, Kak Hasto.
Yes, thank you. Selamat sore, salam Pramuka.
Salam Pramuka, selamat bergabung Kak Hasto. It's such a pleasure for having you
Ya,
in this
terima kasih.
webinar.
Ya, oke.
And also Kak Warsi, one of the Vice Chairman of Yogyakarta Scout. Hello, Kak Warsi.
Hello, welcome everyone, especially Kak Alex, Kak Michael, Kak Craig, and Kak Hasto, Kak Rasheed, everyone here, welcome.
Okay, firstly, we will have a welcome speech by the Chairperson of Yogyakarta Special Region Scout Movement. Please welcome Her Royal Highness Mangkubumi. Time is yours.
Thank you, Nasya. First of all, I said thank you so much for Mr. Michael. I really appreciate you can join us for the webinar. This is history, as Kak Brata said. And thank you so much for Kak Brata, Kak Alex, and Kak Rasheed for helping for this webinar. We can have it today, this afternoon, what with a lovely day. And Kak Hasto, thank you so much for joining us. Kak Craig and everyone who joined us for this webinar at this moment. Actually, we're gonna have the Jogja International Scouts today, but I'm also so happy that we can meet at this moment with a lovely webinar with Mr. Michael, which have like for quite a long time. We all want to see you and come to Jogja. Yeah. But well, because of the COVID-19, all of us work from home. So with the Zoom, with the webinar, finally we can meet you. Thank you so much for all helping for this moment. But one day, we still want to invite you, Mr. Michael, to come to Jogja, and you can see the real Yogyakarta with a lot of history, a lot of heritage places, and also support us for the Scout Yogyakarta and also Indonesia. Actually, Yogyakarta and Melbourne, we have the what is called the sister province. Yeah, so maybe we can collaborate between Melbourne and Jogja as a sister province. Yeah, or especially for the Scouts program. And also, thank you, Kak Alex and Kak Rasheed, for joining us. And I'm happy to see you again for this moment. Because of the COVID-19, we would like to ask you what is it called, advice or suggestion, or give us education for the activity in the future, especially for the Scouts, because after the COVID-19, not a lot of Scouts activity is like activity outside, and a lot of people, especially for the camping programs, and the it's like ceremony, something like that. So can you educate us the best programs for the Scout Jogja or Indonesia to have better programs in the future? Once again, thank you so much for you, Mr. Michael, Kak Alex, and Kak Rasheed for joining us this. Thank you, Kak Brata and Kak Warsi, for make it happen. And we would like to share all the Scouts program from Hong Kong, from Maldives, and also from Australia to improve or to work together with the Indonesian Scouts. Thank you so much, and give back to Nasya.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Mangkubumi, for the welcome speech. Okay, next one, there will be some speech from the Chief Commissioner of Gerakan Pramuka Indonesia, which will be represented by Kak Asto from National Scout Headquarters. Kak Asto, time is yours.
Yes, terima kasih. Thank you very much. Saya akan membacakan amanat dari atau sambutan dari Ketua Kuartir Nasional Gerakan Pramuka pada dialog virtual Kuartir Daerah di Yogyakarta tahun 2020. Saya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia karena sesuai dengan amanat yang disampaikan oleh Kak Budi Wasiso sebagai Ketua Kuartir Nasional. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang saya hormati Kak Gusti Kanjeng Ratu Mangkubumi, Ketua Kuartir Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta, dan sekaligus cucu dari Bapak Pramuka Indonesia, Sri Sultan Hamengkubuwono ke-9. Yang saya hormati Mr. Michael Baden Powell, the 4th Lord Baden Powell of Gilwell, dan sekaligus cucu dari Bapak Pramuka Pandu sedunia, Lord Baden Powell.
Thank you.
Yang saya hormati Mr. Alexander Wong, both member of the World Scouts Foundation. Yang saya hormati Mr. Abdullah Rasheed, former APR Scouts Regional Director, kemudian kakak-kakak pimpinan dan andalan nasional Gerakan Pramuka, para kakak-kakak pimpinan dan andalan daerah di Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta, para peserta dialog virtual yang berbahagia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore, salam sejahtera, salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, dan salam Pramuka. Pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji dan syukur pada Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, bahwa sampai saat ini kita masih diberikan nikmat sehat sehingga dapat hadir dan mengikuti dialog virtual yang diselenggarakan Kuartir Daerah Gerakan Pramuka Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta dengan tema Let's Know Further About Lord Baden Powell of Gilwell pada hari ini Sabtu 4 Juni 2020. Saya ingin menyapa para tamu kita dari luar negeri. Let me greet all the guests and participants from abroad, especially Mr. Michael Baden Powell, the grandson of Lord Baden Powell of Gilwell, Mr. Alexander Wong, and Mr. Abdullah Rasheed. Thank you for your time and valuable experience that you will share with us in this virtual dialogue. As you know, Gerakan Pramuka is the biggest national scout organization in the world in terms of quantity, as we have more than 24 million members. Small or big, we will have impact to the world scouting movement. Your sharing will provide additional knowledge and insight for the Indonesian Scouts. Kepada Kuartir Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta, saya menyambut gembira pelaksanaan acara ini dalam masa pandemi COVID-19. memang banyak kegiatan yang terpaksa ditunda. Salah satunya adalah Yogyakarta International Scout Camp, tetapi bukan Pramuka kalau lalu hanya berhenti begitu saja. Kuartir Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta adalah contohnya yang tetap melaksanakan kegiatan meskipun kita masih dalam kondisi yang kurang menggembirakan. Aktivitas pramuka di berbagai daerah, termasuk di daerah istimewa Yogyakarta, yang membantu penanganan dan pencegahan wabah COVID-19, COVID-19 merupakan bukti lain, mulai hal-hal kecil seperti mengajak para peserta didik dan anggota dewasa untuk berpola hidup sehat, cuci tangan, mengenakan masker, menjaga jarak, sampai kegiatan seperti membuat dan membagikan masker dan larutan pencuci tangan, ikut dalam penyemprotan desinfektan, dan bahkan sebagian dari kita ikut membantu di garda terdepan bersama-sama para tenaga medis dan para medis yang sedang berjuang mengatasi COVID-19. Upaya untuk terus berjuang tanpa patah semangat juga merupakan pendidikan yang diwariskan oleh Lord Baden Powell. Hal ini antara lain tercermin dalam kode kehormatan kita berupa Wisatya dan Trisatya, serta Dharma dan Dasa Dharma Pramuka. Harus diakui, sebagaimana organisasi kepramukaan di negara lain, Gerakan Pramuka di Indonesia juga mengikuti pendidikan yang diwariskan oleh Lord Baden Powell, yang tentunya telah disesuaikan dengan kondisi dan situasi di negeri kita. Dalam sejarahnya, Lord Baden Powell juga pernah berkunjung ke Indonesia, yang ketika itu masih bernama Hindia Belanda pada bulan Desember tahun 1934. Dalam perjalanan dengan kapal laut dari Singapura menuju Australia, Lord Baden Powell dan keluarganya sempat mampir pula ke Indonesia. Setelah kapal yang ditumpanginya merapat di dermaga pelabuhan Tanjung Priok, Lord Baden Powell sekeluarga mengunjungi Batavia yang sekarang bernama Jakarta, lalu Semarang dan Candi Borobudur sebelum melanjutkan ke Surabaya dan kemudian perjalanannya diteruskan ke Australia. Berkat kedatangan Lord Baden Powell, sekeluarga aktivitas kepramukaan di Indonesia semakin bertumbuh. Lalu pada tahun 1961, berbagai organisasi kepanduan yang ada menyatukan diri dalam satu wadah Gerakan Pramuka. Organisasi pendidikan kepanduan yang merupakan pendidikan non-formal, melengkapi pendidikan informal di keluarga dan masyarakat, serta pendidikan formal di sekolah, terus berkembang sampai saat ini. Sejak tahun 2010, sejak tahun 2010, bahkan telah ada Undang-Undang Gerakan Pramuka. Hal ini menandakan bahwa pemerintah dan masyarakat menyadari pentingnya Gerakan Pramuka sebagai organisasi pendidikan yang mendidik watak, budi pekerti, dan karakter para anggotanya, sama seperti yang diwariskan oleh Lord Baden Powell. Melalui kepramukaan diharapkan kaum muda dan akan tumbuh dan berkembang menjadi manusia yang berguna bagi diri sendiri, bagi masyarakat, bagi keluarga dan lingkungannya, serta bagi bangsa dan negara, serta menjalin persaudaraan universal seluas dunia, karena setiap pramuka adalah saudara bagi pramuka lainnya, meskipun mungkin berbeda suku, agama, warna kulit, dan perbedaan lainnya. Pada akhirnya, sekali lagi, saya mengucapkan selamat kepada Kuartir Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta dan semua peserta. Semoga acara ini dapat berjalan dengan lancar dan kita semua mendapatkan tambahan wawasan yang bermanfaat. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore dan salam Pramuka. Yogyakarta, 4 Juli 2020. Kuartir Nasional Gerakan Pramuka, Ketua cap ditandatangani Komjen Purnawirawan Dr. Andes Budi Wasiso. Terima kasih, thank you very much. Salam Pramuka.
So I think, thank you, Kak Hasto. I think I need to highlight some of the remarks given by our Chief Commissioner, Mr. Hasto from Jakarta headquarters. Actually, he was saying that, of course, thank you very much for you that allows to join this virtual dialogue, allocating your time. And Indonesian Scout is expecting that from this virtual dialogue, we can get something beneficial, more vision, more understanding, more perspective toward scouting. Mr. Hasto also reported that in regards to COVID-19, our kids, the adults kids, the rovers, senior rovers, we involved them to educate, to inform all society regarding protocol of new normal, and also many things about the COVID-19. And we are working together with medical team, with the government team. We deploy team to do the disinfectation to make our facilities safe. He said that resiliency is the one that we learn from Lord Baden Powell, which reflect in Scout laws and promises. He also said that the late Lord Baden Powell ever been visiting Jakarta. At that time, Jakarta is still being called Batavia. And Lord Baden Powell also visit another cities like Semarang, visiting Borobudur Temple, Surabaya, on his way to Australia. And he expecting that the activity of scouting in Indonesia will remain growing and developing. We will complete our formal and informal education. We emphasize that all Scout members are brothers. We will learn that differences is not could not separate all of us. And finally, National Headquarters gave congratulations to Yogyakarta Scout for the virtual dialogue today. He sent his best regards and all the best for everyone. From Commissioner General Budi Waseso, Chief Commissioner of Indonesia Scouts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kak Asto, for the welcome speech representing the Chief Commissioner of Gerakan Pramuka Indonesia. And going to the next session, there will be a speech from the Chairperson of World Scout Committee to Mr. Craig Turpie, or Kak Craig Turpie. Time is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for the warm welcome and introduction. I'm speaking to you from my home in Scotland and the UK during what has become known as the new normal. But please let me start by expressing that it's a real and genuine pleasure to be with you all today. And I would like to congratulate Gerakan Pramuka for this great initiative with this virtual dialogue. I'm delighted to be in such esteemed company and that so many of you in Indonesia and from around the world have taken time out today to learn more about our founder and the origins of this great movement that we call Scouting. I'm particularly pleased to see Michael Baden Powell, whom I last had the good fortune to meet at Gilwell Reunion last September, where we enjoyed some long conversations on the buffalo lawn. It's really great to see you, Michael.
Thank you, Greg.
And Michael, more than most, will be able to enlighten us about our founder and the origins of Scouting. When I think about our founder, there are two places that immediately come to mind. The first is Brownsea Island, which I've been fortunate to visit on several occasions. The last time was in 2017, when we were able to travel with much more ease than today. Now, walking around the island, there were some scout groups camping, and hearing their laughter through the trees and the forest, and the sound of those young people enjoying themselves, you could really sense the spirit of that great experimental camp that took place in 1907, and how something quite magical started in that location, which, as we now know, has spread to almost every corner of the world. The other location, the other place that immediately springs to mind when I think about our founder are World Scout Jamborees. One of the greatest legacies, I believe, of our founder's vision is the World Scout Jamboree. 2020 is an important year, marking 100 years since the first World Scout Jamboree at Olympia in London. And today, when a World Scout Jamboree takes place, it's slightly larger than what happened in 1920. They bring together tens of thousands of young people to live in peace and harmony for several weeks. And through an incredible program that encourages young people from different backgrounds, different languages, and different religions, they come together and mix. And it's through this mixing that they learn that this great diversity that we enjoy is something that we're able to celebrate. This great diversity that we have in Scouting is what gives its strength, and also proves to the world that it is possible for us as humans to live in peace and harmony, simply by living together and finding out what we have in common. And at a World Scout Jamboree, it's always a pleasure to see Michael Baden Powell. And I recall meeting him in Japan and in North America and West Virginia, serving as an able volunteer and taking time to meet with other volunteers and young people, helping to promote the legacy of the founder. This webinar today is also an opportunity to recognize all the incredible Scouts in Gerakan Pramuka and from all around the world who are joining in today, who have been celebrating Scouting with amazing activities and community actions across Indonesia and around the world in recent months and weeks during what we've affectionately referred to as the new normal. Over these last months, millions of Scouts have been mobilizing around the world to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen Scouting around the world respond in a way that only Scouting could. We've seen some leaders adjust to a new normal, providing opportunities for young people to continue their Scouting from home, for example, and importantly, with Scouting taking action in their local communities to help those most affected by the global pandemic. So whether you've been continuing Scouting during COVID-19 with activities at home, I do hope that all of you have been having the most amazing amount of fun, difficult as that may have been at times. I'm personally super proud of all the Scouts around the world who are keeping the Scouting adventure going during these challenging times. And I'm especially proud of all the Scouts in Indonesia and Gerakan Pramuka for leading the way. So as we move forward, and hopefully as this global pandemic begins to retreat, let us remind ourselves that our Scout promise is not just something that we repeat, but something that we live, that we do our best to do our duty to help other people. By continuing your Scouting in this new normal in your communities, you've lived up to your Scout promise by showing your care and compassion for others. And as time passes, you will realize that any sacrifices that you've made will have helped so many others, including all those who've been on the front line in fighting this global pandemic. As the sun comes up tomorrow, take some pride in what you've achieved during these months and take note that we're one day closer to this challenging time passing and Scouting returning to normal. On behalf of the World Organization of the Scout Movement, please stay safe, be kind, and thank you for being truly awesome and for taking part in this virtual dialogue today. Thank you.
Nice one.
Asa?
Okay, thank you, Character B.
Wonderful speech.
It's a wonderful speech. Okay. After this, we will move to the next session, the most awaited session, webinar with the 3 amazing speakers. But before that, for Character B and also Asto, you may stay if you have time, but please let me to continue this webinar. Okay, so like I said before, that we have...
excuse me, Nasa.
Okay.
Excuse me, Nasa. I should, read some chat. One is from Dr. Muhyiddin. He's an international commissioner from Persekutuan Pengakap Malaysia. And also Dr. Hamad Al-Yahya, international commissioner from Saudi Arabia Scouts. And from Brother Muhammad Ali Khalid from India, also chairman of the Evergreen Scout. And from Haji Janaidi. So there are 46 eminent leaders in Asia Pacific Scout which join in this internal dialogue. Other than 1,400 participants from all over Indonesia, and those 1,400 is not individuals. Some of the district, they do the watching together in one big screen. It's like watching World Cup football, soccer. So it's more than that. So the passions are there. They together, and in the campuses, in the schools, they are sharing laptops or good quality of cell phones. They're watching together. It is our decision not to appear their face, so they cannot asking questions. They may send chat to us, and then we read their chat for you. Okay, Nasa.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Breta. Moving to the next session, like I said before, that we have 3 amazing speakers today. And the first one, we will have a conversation with Kak Michael Baden Powell. But before we start, Kak Michael, please let me introduce you a little bit to our all participants here. To all the participants here, for the information that Michael Baden Powell, he is the grandson of Robert Baden Powell, the first Baron Baden Powell, and he is also the second son of Peter Baden Powell. We know him as the second Baron Baden Powell, and he is the brother of Robert Cross Baden Powell, the third Baron Baden Powell. Michael Baden Powell also active in Scouts, Australia's Victorian branch, and as of 2015, is its commissioner for special duties. And on August 2007, Michael also became a guest of the Scout Association of the United Kingdom at the 100th anniversary of the start of the World Scouting Movement at Brownsea Island. And in August 2008, Michael Baden Powell also took part in the International Scout and Guide Fellowship's 25th World Conference in Vienna. He also is patron of Scout Heritage Victoria, a museum and archive of Scout history in Scouts Victoria, starting in that role in 2007, following many years of membership of the group. And Now, let's welcome Kak Michael Baden Powell. Hello, Kak Michael Baden Powell.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much for that overwhelming introduction. I'm not so sure that I deserve it, but thank you anyway. Well, that is quite right. Sadly, my older brother, Robert, died on the 28th of December, and my wife, Joan, and my oldest son, David, we flew to England, and we sadly, in early January, we flew to England to bury him, which wasn't very good. But because both he and his wife were unable to have family, it meant that I then, because I was the only living relative and the closest relative, it meant that I became the fourth Lord Baden Powell, which I am now. For my sins, you're quite right, I am a State Commissioner in Victoria, in Australia, of special duties. This takes me all over the world. For example, last year, when we had the World Jamboree, as Craig so rightly said, we met each other at the World Jamboree in the United States. And I also met my old friend Alex Wong there while we're about it. For my sins, I'm a member of the World Scout Foundation as well, and have been for many years. I'm afraid I'm very naughty because I can't get to all the get-togethers that the World Scout Foundation have. Believe me, it's a long way to go. It's a long flight from Melbourne to where they have some of these meetings. But a few years ago, the King of Sweden did come and visit us, and we had a session here in Melbourne, and we brought the capital S from Scouting into it, and we had more Scouts there than I think we've got in Australia, but we had a lot of Scouts there anyway. And that was a great thing to see for His Majesty to be able to see just how we're progressing here in Australia. And we took him to Melbourne, obviously. We also took him up to Sydney, which is that secondary town, a little bit further north from here, and various other centres in Australia. We're a very active lot down here. Every so many years we have a national jamboree, and we hope that COVID will have died a natural death by then, but this coming Christmas, because that's our summertime, our holiday time, we're sort of the wrong way around to the rest of you, but every 3 to 4 years we have a national jamboree in Australia, and it's held in each individual state. And this time, if COVID hopefully runs away and dies, we'll be able to have it here in Victoria. But all the planning meetings are taking place similar to what we're doing here this evening. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in touch with a couple of scout groups in the United Kingdom, and that was really terrific. And they had the whole scout group there. How we spoke the whole scout group, I'll never know, but we did. And that was very, very successful. And I'm also happy to let you know that about 4 weeks ago, we were able to invest my young grandson, Max, in his account, which was terrific. So you've got the succession of BPs in the scouting movement right the way through to BP's great-grandson as well, which is really tremendous. And I see Alex there with a big grin on his face. I don't blame you, Alex. It was a thrilling moment to be able to invest my grandson over in exactly the same way as we're talking now, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to go to the hall and join his family and mum and dad and so on. So we had to do it all over the internet, and it was terrific. And I just happened to have a spare scarf, would you believe? And at the appropriate time, we plonked that round Max's head, and quick as Flash Gordon, the scout leader, Craig, was really up with it. He knew straight away what to do. And behind his back, he had a real scout scarf of the group that Max was joining. So quick as Flash Gordon, as I went and did that with the scarf that I had here, the scout leader put the camera, so to speak, moved away, and I hid it underneath here. And the scout leader put this scarf around Max's neck, which was a great thrill for both Joan and I, and particularly for Joan, because she was, before she became involved with our sister movement, the Girl Guides, Joan was a cub leader. And I've blamed it on my grandmother and grandfather ever since, that we finally met because of scouting, and we were married a few years later. And I shall never forget, John Thurman then was camp chief at Gilwell in England.
Michael.
Yeah, look, I'm going on to Bob.
Mr. Michael, as a fourth parent of Baden Powell,
yes.
What is your passion? What is your vision or your expectations towards scouting growth around the globe?
I hope that the 50-odd million we've got of scouting in the world will use its power, or its might, if you like, to influence the people who supposedly make decisions on various matters of peace and so on. To me, it's very sad that we're living in a very sad world right now. There are places where, unfortunately, the politicians of this world are only interested in pushing their own particular barrow of interest, sadly. They don't seem to be able to understand the word coexistence. And what I really would like to see is those, if I might put it, politicians to sit down, of opposing sides, to sit down like we would do in England and have a cup of tea and say, okay, what is the problem? What do you disagree with? But this doesn't happen, unfortunately.
Maybe we can ask them to join scouting, all the politicians. Maybe we can invite them to join scouting.
That would be a good idea. It would be a very good idea if we could get whip enough enthusiasm up there. But unfortunately, the problem with most politicians is that they've got a thing called mindset, and they set their mind on a particular purpose, and they just don't want to listen many times. Sometimes they do. Now in Indonesia, of course, you've got, I'm just trying to think of his name, the man who actually, I can't think of it, sorry. The names are escaping me at the moment, but in Indonesia, you had the man who really led Indonesia to independence many years ago. I can't think of his name. Yes? Sorry. Anyway, be as it may, when my mother was coming to stay with us in Australia many years ago, he, with great pride, said to my mother, yes, I was a King Scout in the old Indonesian days when the Dutch were here. And his wife, equally, with equal enthusiasm, said, yes, I was a Queen's Guide in those days, which means just to me that many people of that ilk are in fact very proud to have called themselves and had the scouts or guides, and to have had the experience of their scout and guide training, which is really important. Everywhere where I go in this world, be it Indonesia, be it India, be it Hong Kong even, or be it wherever it might be, it's interesting to observe the numbers of politicians that come up to me and say, yes, I was a scout in the old days, and do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? And I would say, well, it's not a question of whether I knew them or not. It's a question of whether or not what you learned, you were able to put into practice. My grandfather was a soldier in the British Army, a very senior soldier, a general in fact, and he did his duty in the manner that he saw fit. Yet coincidentally, he started what is arguably the world's greatest peace movement.
Okay, Carmichael, if I may ask, just now you said about your grandfather, Sir Robert Baden Powell. If I may ask, as Robert Baden Powell's grandson, is there any message that always remains deep in your heart?
No, the only message I would give is for us all to carry out our beliefs, to carry out the thoughts and what we have inherited through our scout training by our own example, and live by that example. I don't mean necessarily helping the elderly across the street. Our meaning from the point of view is, let's give our time willingly to help people of all ages, of all religions, of all descriptions. Let's give them an opportunity to live a richer life to what they may have done had they not been in the Scout movement. And this became very evident to me when we were in America last year for the World Jamboree, for the 24th World Jamboree. This was very evident. There were, what, 50,000, Craig, was it? 50,000
yes.
people,
yep.
Something of that nature. And believe me, if ever this thought became so obvious to me, it was there. It was very evident when we were in Japan, Alex, you may remember, where it didn't matter what religion or what faith that scouter or that scout there or whatever was a member of, it didn't matter. We were all scouts together and we all believed in the same principles. And that was what was important. So if I've got a message at all, it is, let's live out our lives in the best way we know how. And in doing so, let's encourage the young scouts of today to continue on with that legacy that grandfather left us all to live by over 100 years ago.
Mr. Michael, of course, all of us are expecting the COVID-19 will disappear at the soonest. But as the motto of your grandfather, be prepared. So, I mean, what will going to happen if the pandemic will goes on? Maybe sometime this year will came up COVID-20, by next year COVID-21. So that makes our kids may not allowed to go outside their house. They cannot join the outdoor activities, cannot meet their friends under the nature. So that means scouting probably not any more relevance to the next era with pandemic. What do you think about this, Kak Michael?
we're resilient. And we spoke about this 10 minutes ago. Scouts are taught to be resilient. Yes, COVID may carry on. We don't know. They tell me that the medical department at Oxford University and other universities are working very hard on an injection or something. I don't believe it will go on. My own personal thought is it'll be a little bit like the chicken flu that flew around the world a few years ago. What happened to that? That finally disappeared. And I see no reason why COVID wouldn't disappear either. And I believe that what we've got to do is we've got to be very strong in adhering to things like social distancing, washing our hands regularly, and all those sort of things that the medical world keeps telling us about. And I believe that eventually, if we observe these simple procedures, I believe that eventually it will work itself to death, we hope. And I think in the meanwhile, what we've got to do, using mediums like we've got now, that we're using now, I believe we've got to make our programs in that we can reach young scouts using this sort of principle. I think that's very important. And eventually we will be able to meet together at jamborees and similar functions to that.
Yeah.
So the long short story of it is, Brata, you're right in the concerns that you've expressed. But I think that at the end of the day, let's turn it round and let's basically use the COVID as a tool to help us strengthen the very needs of the young people under our care, if you like. That's very important. So I think we can learn a great deal from this COVID. Now, if the COVID wasn't here, would we be talking together, meeting now over a television screen? No, of course we wouldn't.
Yes.
I would actually be with you in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question. A rather long-winded way, I'm afraid.
I believe that's what the academy is working for. Am I right, Craig?
That's correct. Part of WOSM's response has been to initiate the World Scout Academy, which is taking place online at the moment, with thousands of leaders from around the world connecting and learning about how to deal with the new normal. And I have every confidence that Scouting will be strengthened by some of the challenges that it's faced during these times.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
One of the many hats that I wear, I just happen to be patron of the Scout Museum here in Melbourne, which is probably one of the best scouting museums I've seen anywhere in the world, apart from Hong Kong, of course, on the 14th floor. But seriously, we meet every Monday morning for a morning coffee. Now, that doesn't sound terribly exciting, except when I tell you it stirs our inner thoughts up. It keeps us on the go. And I believe that we should use modern technology to help us in encouraging young people. But we haven't forgotten about you. Your scouting is still as important now as ever. Every now and then I get a request from the United States or from somewhere else. Sonny Jim has just got his Eagle Scout. Could you please send, or Johnny Jim James has just got his Queen Scout Award, as we have here, like you used to have in Hong Kong. could you send Johnny James a letter of congratulations? I've lost count how many of those congratulatory letters I've sent. It's been quite a few. And I think that it's by using this kind of thing that that we can encourage our young people to continue on doing what they are doing very successfully now. So the short answer, Brata, is to your question and your point that you were making. I believe COVID, if we treat it properly and if we handle it properly, I believe that we can use it to our advantage, very much so. And maybe at the next World Jamboree in Korea, maybe instead of having 50,000, they may have 60,000 there. I've got no idea, but by the end of the 10 days, I can tell you, I'll feel it. Too much this.
Okay,
Sorry,
Michael.
you're going to say something.
Okay, we have a curiousness about the scouting in your time. What is the comparison between scouting in your time and the scouting movement right now, in your vision?
Oh, right, okay. Well, I've been in scouting for 1 or 2 years. And of course, the principle has never changed. The principle I'm talking about. And you've just got to learn, as I've done over the years, I've learned how to read young people's minds and thoughts because I'm meeting with them so regularly. And the principle has not changed for over 100 years. I think that's very important. There have been many books written about grandfather, as you know. Cecil B. DeMille, the great film producer, before he died, was really keen to make an epic film along the lines of the Ten Commandments, for example. In fact, just after he'd finished the Ten Commandments, he was going to make this film. And sadly, Cecil B. died and the film never got made. But we are hopeful that one day, that film might be made. I have the script here and I read it from time to time. I think, no, that's not me. That doesn't suit me. But seriously, if anything would help the movement throughout the world, irrespective of color, class or creed, I believe a film of that nature would do enormous amount of good for the children, for the young people. And that's what is important.
Okay. Okay, Kak Michael, because of the time, we should move to the next section with Kak Alex Wong. So if you don't mind, please still stay in this webinar because in the end, we will have a question and answer session, which the participant already dropped on the chat room of YouTube and also Zoom.
Of course.
Okay.
Before we proceed, I should pass on the regards from Mr. Ali Maniku. He is from Maldives. And also Mr. Ahmad Rusdi. Actually, he is my boss. He is the International Commissioner of Indonesia Scout Gerakan Pramuka. And he is now in Bangkok, completing his assignment as an Indonesian ambassador in Bangkok for Thailand, and he is about to leave, and tomorrow he will fly back to Jakarta. So today he must prepare everything, including all the ambassadors in Bangkok are celebrating his leaving in the golf course. So that's why he regret he cannot join this wonderful dialogue.
Okay, thank you so much, Kak Breta. And thank you so much, Kak Michael Baden Powell. And for all the participants, if you have question or maybe something that you want to ask, you can drop it on the Zoom chat room, or maybe if you watch it via YouTube, you can drop it in YouTube chat room. So in the end, we will have the question and answer sessions with all of the speakers here. So let's move to the next speaker, which is Kak Alexander Wong. Hello, Kak Alex.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you please unmute your video?
Yes. Yes. Langsung aja, Nasa.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to say about scouting, but before you ask question, I can echo Michael's feelings about politician and scouting. The first thing that struck me as an adult, in fact, a very old man, was the conference in Oslo in 1996. That was the conference in which Palestinian Authority and Palestinian Scouts was accepted as a member of WOSM. I remember that Israeli delegates raised their hand and want to speak. And their speech are moving. I still can remember what they say. In summary, is that we Scouts had no enemy. And I embraced Palestinian Scout into the world as scouting in full heart. And they hug each other. And the Peter Pans never grow old. Rasheed and I and the others had an evergreen Scout units. We travel everywhere within the Asia Pacific regions, literally once every quarter in the past. But of course, the COVID-19 has stopped us from traveling. We are always together, the Pakistani and the Indians. They are good friends. And the Bangladeshi and the Pakistan, they are good friends. And all the incidents that moved me is also happening in Oslo. When we have a breakout group in a beautiful forest in somewhere near Oslo, I remember the Angola and the South African delegates said to a white Zimbabwean commissioner, Mr. Grace, do you know that when we were young, we tried to skip away to Angola or Mozambique, and then from there to China or to Russia to train in guerrilla warfare, and then to put a bullet between the eyes of you white boys. But we now embrace each other, sitting together and discuss how good we can do to our children and ask them to put down hate and become brothers like what we are now. I still recall that. And that is my opening to my short speech. And I think this is more important to the audience than any other things, that scouting is basically about brotherhood and sisterhood. It's about peace and living together and creating a better world.
Peace and harmony.
Okay. Actually, there's a question. One of the Baden Powell's quotes is, a scout is never taken by surprise. He knows exactly what to do when anything unexpected happens. The current message is that a scout is always prepared for any situation. What do you think about this in relation of the present situation, which is the COVID-19 and also the old situations?
I think we are lucky for someone like us who have been a scout for so many years and decades. We are, I can say proudly, we are more prepared than the others. Firstly, because we are more observant. I still remember one of the campfire yong from Michael's grandfather, basically saying that two persons walking through a street or a journey, but the scout will see more things because we are trained to be observant. We are trained to observe. And then it get ourselves more prepared because we are more disciplined. We are more well prepared. And so I think with our basic training as a scout, we will observe, we will listen to all the advices from all the authorities and from everywhere. We know how to filter the information we get. We used to have limited information. Where I want to know something, I remember I have to go to the library to look for the card index to find the books I want, and then spend half a day reading and sifting through it. Now with Googles and other things, one click on the telephone, we have everything. But we are trained to filter our information. We are trained to learn. We are trained to do. And then doing is a learning process. I think I have confidence that as scouts, 50 million worldwide, would they have the proper and decent scout training, and when they are a good scout, they will know how to deal with the situation and will go through it easily.
Yeah. By the way, Alex, talking about scouting, okay, Hong Kong is used to be part of UK, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe that links, special links, is allowed scouting to be introduced strongly and officially, maybe authoritatively by the British rulers at the time. So, but anyway, after handover to China, Scout of Hong Kong remains growing and developing, and now, according to some leaders, Hong Kong Scout is one of the quality scouts in the world. So, can you share with us how it relates? I mean, and what are the things that Hong Kong Scout is working hard to reach that level?
I think we are lucky in the sense that in the former times when we were still a colony, scouting flourishing in all the good schools. And most of the well-established school has good scout group. And it is always the best students who join scouting. And for a good scout, there are a future opening for them, because if they excel in scouting when they were young, they will excel in their own profession and career when they grow older. And we don't encourage them to remain in scouting when they were young, because they have other priorities. But when they become a mainstay of the society, become a leading government official, leading professionals, they have the kind of, like Michael has said just now, oh, I was a Queen Scout in 1955. Oh, I was a King Scout in 1949. Oh, I have passed my first class journey. I still remember it was raining. They have a strong feelings and attachment to the beautiful boyhood they once had, and they support scouting. And because we are very lucky in that sense, and then when we develop, when the former Chief Commissioner Jamson Chow has a foresight to make ourselves strong, I think Craig has read our Hong Kong Scout Foundation's portfolio about a few weeks ago. In fact, we have more money than the World Scout Foundation. We have $103 million US in the Hong Kong Scout Foundation.
Wow.
And then that capital, of course, help a great deal in developing scouting. And we are apolitical. And in fact, the China Liaison Office in Hong Kong is very pleased with scouting in Hong Kong. There are too many audience here, but I can just give a little example. In one of the occasions, someone was so afraid that there may be some backfire if someone appeared in scout uniform in our rally with 50 and 60,000 scouts. And then I was reassured that, oh, although I don't like that person, but he came in a scout uniform, we respect our chief. We will not do anything to be a disgrace to our chief. So they know their priorities. So it's about love, peace, harmony, and brotherhood and sisterhood. So at the moment we are okay. At the moment we are okay. As Michael has said, and Craig always preach, we have to adjust. The world is changing. We have to adjust. But as long as the core value remain the same, the principle has not been twist, we will go on.
Is the new constitution just newly introduced in Hong Kong will affect scouting in Hong Kong in the future?
Sorry?
Is the new constitution introduced in Hong Kong will affect the development of scouting and the future?
I don't think I should make any comment here. As I said, Scout is apolitical. We have a Scout promise that I will do my best to the country and to the place I live. So better not to comment on my own political assessment about the new constitutions. But we will keep our Scout law and our Scout promise.
Thank you. Nasa?
Okay. Alex, talking a little bit about ATAS, Association of Top Achiever Scout. I got an information that you also the membership director of ATAS before.
I'm very proud of being an ATAS, and so are all the ATAS. ATAS means Association of Top Achiever Scouts. When you were, I think, Craig, you are also a Queen Scout, right? Well, when we're a Scout, when we got the top grade, Garuda Scout, Queen Scout, King Scout, President Scout, whatever, we feel proud. Just like you will feel proud when you get a first class honor in your degree and you become a top scholar. You have proven yourself that you can do something. And then in 2004, some of the old men sit together and say that, why don't we form an association among ourselves? There used to be an Eagle Scout conclave during the Golden Jubilee Jamboree and trying to link up all the Queen Scout, Eagle Scout together, but eventually it defunct. So we said, let's set up a loose organization, a fraternity, to make all the top achievers, Garuda Scout, President Scout, Fuji Scout, Queen Scout, King Scout, whatever, as a automatic members, so that they can continue scouting whether they are an active scout leader or not when they grow up. And it becomes very successful. Now we have 15,000 members worldwide. And the latest good news is that in spite of some difficulties, finally, the Eagle Scout of the Boy Scout of America has come on board. And then the Boy Scout America formally will have an attached chapter in United States of America under the supervision of the National Eagle Scout Associations. So we are expecting a further expansions of memberships. And 20,000, 30,000 is not a problem. The only problem may be in some countries, mostly in the Europe region, where they do not have the progressive training anymore. They don't have a top award. That is a difficulty. So we'll try to see what other alternative we can make to cater for the scouts of those regions. But at the moment, we are growing strong and we feel proud of it. And Indonesia has a very good chapter, the Garuda Scouts. Basically, they are self-governed. All I need is to give them a number. They are running very well. Thank you, Garuda Scouts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Alex.
I was just going to say, Brett, I've just remembered the name of the president. It was President Suharto.
Suharto.
Yeah. That's right.
You are referring to Madam Tin Suharto.
Yeah, they were active in Scout.
Yes, yes.
Well, when my mother used to come and visit us, she used to go and stay with the Suhartos.
Yes, yes, yes. Very instrumental.
Can I interject something? Following Michael, I always like to tag along with Michael's observations. When I traveled to Laos, before they revived the scouting, and at the invitations of the Doyer of the Consular Corps of Hong Kong, who happened to be the Laotian Consul General, you know. And then I tag along with the honorary consul and to have a visit to Laos before they open up, because they are preparing to open up. And then in some casual conversation, I said, I
Hello.
Scout, acted out because he's only wearing funny things, and then in Laos, after we get quite along quite well, he knows that I'm not dangerous, I'm not a spy, and then he told me, you know, Alex, I was a scout, I was a first-class scout, in Laos when he was minister, who is his mentor. And he said, I was also a scout. And he said that with fond memory. So whoever had been a scout in all the circumstances, even under the Iron Curtain, they feel proud of the past. And luckily, Laos now open to scouting with Rasheed help. Laos is one of the Asia Pacific region full members, and they are doing strong. I think the next question should be go to Rasheed now.
Okay, Alex Wong, I'm really sorry that we have a limited time, so we should continue to the next session, which is with Abdullah Rasheed. If I may ask you to please still stay in this webinar, because after this we will have the question and answer session from the participants to all the amazing speakers here. So moving to the next session with Abdullah Rasheed. He was the regional director for Asia Pacific region from 2002 until 2013. Without waiting long time, so here it is. Welcome, Abdullah Rasheed from Maldives.
Yes. Thank you. And first of all, greetings from Maldives, and also really and personally, I'm thankful and appreciate organizing this webinar, especially to Princess Mangkubumi. Thank you very much. And also Greg, nice to see you back after some time, and to all my colleagues here. Well, I will try to be very brief and with one or two thoughts that I thought I would like to share with you, because as we are running out of time. Basically, what I wanted to touch with you, and as most of the participants are rovers and scouts, today I want to touch on what is scouting today after these 113 years or so, and what is the BP spirit that we are talking all about. Now, even today, what I see is what we have been hearing lately under the context of the COVID-19 is, okay, we are locked down, we should have social distancing, no scout activities, no gatherings, no schools, staying at home, staying with parents, no troop meetings, and all these. This is what we have been hearing. But what I thought of stressing is that today, when we talk of scouting, even under today's circumstances, scouting lives on, goes on. Because scouting is not only an activity, scouting is not only when you are in uniform. A large part of the mission of scouting, if you see the mission of scouting, is about values. Value of scouting. And personally, I think as we go along, we are going away, slowly losing the core values of scouting. We are not stressing enough for the values of scouting. Because whether we are at home with the parents, locked down or in a room, the values of scouting goes on, should go on. And this does not die off. And I think for that right reason, if you have seen the WOSM recent messages, it always says scouting goes on. Whether irrespective of COVID or not, scouting goes on. What does it mean? That means the core values of scouting should go on and will go on. So that's what I want to emphasize, that it's not only a troop meeting, it's not only a hike, it's not only a camp. Of course, the value partly, but it is not everything in scouting. The core values is more fundamental to scouting. If you look at the WOSM mission statement, what is scouting, the purpose of scouting, I think you will notice that a large part of the key words go for character building, values, and at the end, it ends in the society, in the community. If there's no community connection, there's no scouting. Because as an individual with those values, which the mission of scouting emphasizes as an educational movement to play a constructive role, it goes to the community. Of course, today under COVID, we cannot be in touch with the community daily, but the rest of 80% or 75% of the purpose of scouting is with you, within you, under your control, the values. So I think that is what we need to stress and be prepared for the time when situation becomes normal. And by the time being prepared for the time that we are able to go to the community, the rest are taken care of within ourselves. So I would again urge all scouts that what we are losing, tending to lose today is the core values of scouting. The values, the mission, some of the key words as is of the mission statement. And to be prepared for the community. And as today, I think as we cannot go out of the community, what we can really do, and as most of the participants I understand are rovers, what we can do is what WOSM has recently come up and have been emphasizing about sustainable development goals. Scouts working for sustainable development goals. That's, to me, I personally, I would not say that's a goal for scouts, but for me, it's an opportunity for scouts to serve the community. So I would even personally change the word SDG to SDO. Sustainable development opportunities for rovers. So these are all opportunities. We need to find ways how we can come to the community, be with the community. And most recent are these sustainable development goals. And goals are for governments. And personally, as I see it, these are government agendas. But we have a role to play, and we have an opportunity to play there. And that is why they become opportunities for us. And if you look at out of 17 at the world level, WOSM has taken up 7. And those 7 are very close to your own scout laws. What you call in Bahasa, Dasa Dharma, the scout laws. You have 10 scout laws, and you have also 11 departments, 11 sections in Rover Scouting, where you can find your skill being improved to work towards supporting those 7 STOs to the community. So to me, today, of course, the connection with the direct connection with the community is not very possible. It's not very much in day-to-day life, but we can be prepared for that. And that can only be done if we improve the core element of your promise, of the mission of the purpose of scouting. And if you look at all the 10 words or 12 words in your scout law, majority are connected to your personal character. And a few goes to the community, in relation to the community. It's not all the 10, all the 12 to the community, but a large part of that goes to your own personal character development. And whether under COVID or whether under any circumstances, the values can be maintained and it must go on. I think that's what we can do and what can we be prepared for the future. Just to be short.
Excellent.
Nasa.
Nasa, we have unmute your mic, Nasa.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was so enjoying the Kak Rasheed talk about. So, Kak Rasheed, actually, you became the director of APR for 11 years. With your 11 years of contribution in APR as regional director, what have you found about the relevance of the Scout movement to our life in the present situation? And also, what kind of activity that may sweep the millennials in these days?
So NASA is underlining the millennials because she is the millennium.
Yes, I'm also become the one of the millennials in this era, and also I'm curious how how to maintain the scout spirit in our ages?
To maintain is, again, what we normally call the BP spirit, the values of scouting. Whether we are in the millennium or 100 years ago, the values of scouting has not changed to me. It remains the same. And those values are fundamental to scouting as well. So as long as the values, and these values are not changing, why? We have been over 100 years, but the values also have not changed because they are universal values. They are irrespective of religion, irrespective of caste or country. Those values, as simply we can say, as universal. So otherwise people would have thrown those 10 laws. We would have not been relevant today. We are relevant today because those fundamentals, there's 10 or 11 or laws, depending on the country, are still relevant, are still universal values. So whether we talk of millenniums or my generation, all these are still valid to me. But the only thing is we have to practice those values. We have to practice those values and then put those values into practice. I think that comes first. Values, you preserve it, you understand it, you uphold those values, and then you put those values into practice in the community. And I think that's relevant anywhere, anytime, even in the COVID, even in the millennium, or even to my generation or any generation.
But Rasheed, the attraction of scouting for young people are outdoors activities. I mean, values are needed, but how to introduce that? So far, we are using attractions, those attractions, I mean, for youngsters. Now with the COVID-19 or the next pandemic situation, if it is not goes on, how to make the young people attract to these values, how to introduce those values effectively?
Right, so I do it very simply. I speak with scout groups of all and Girl Guide groups of all different age groups all over the world. And what I do is I actually sit down with the troops. I don't stand up to talk. I don't talk. I'm not here to give a history lesson. I'm here to communicate with young people. So you've got to think like a young person. And I sit down with them and I'll say, okay, guys, what do you want to talk to me about? Come on, out with the questions. That is communication. And you instill the thought of getting the young people you're talking with, not at, getting them to have fun and ask questions that are of matters that are important to them. That's the key. And not long ago, I was in Hong Kong, and we went to a very salubrious, your St. John's Church Scout group, and to the absolute amazement of the Scout leader, who happened to be a woman, lovely lady, she had a chair set there all ready for Michael to sit on. I didn't sit on the chair. I sat down with the troops, and that covered everything. It broke down that horrible barrier that sometimes appears. And if I can just leave you, well, not leave you, but give you a thought, sit down with the troops.
Listen.
To communicate. That's the point. The second point is emphasize the word and action of fun. F-U-N. That's what it's all about. Rasheed, I think that actually puts what you were saying in a nutshell.
So we have to communicate with the millennials. Listen, sit with them. Nasa,
well, I've just answered the question. I've just answered that by saying, sit down with the troops and get them to talk with you.
Right.
Yeah, simple as that. we can talk about millenniums, we can talk about motives, we can talk about all sorts of things like that. Remember, we're talking with, basically, with young people who don't understand that language in that sense.
Okay. Okay, you got a clear information for me and also for my friends all around here. So we know that the millennials should understand it well, so we could implement it in our daily life. Okay, Kak Rasheed, I think it's better for us to move into the question and answer session, so we all could interact, could make interaction direct with the participants. Is that okay, Kak Rasheed? Okay. Okay, to all the participants, I already note down some of the question. The first question is from Kang Abi in YouTube room chat. To all of the speakers, how so that information about scouts, scout figure, and scout skills is not interrupted by age or not bordered? Yeah, maybe Kak Alex or Kak Rasheed or Kak Michael who wants to answer, or maybe Kak Craig Turpy.
Before we proceed, I should pass regards from our friend from Hong Kong, Eric Yung Yayu and Yung Chiming. So it's they are listening from Hong Kong, and they send regards to all of us. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So who is going to answer the questions? Maybe Kak Rasheed. Yes,
Rasheed?
please.
I think Alex could start.
I think you should.
Senior.
Michael is more senior. Michael.
Yes, Alex, I'm right here. Well, I've just made the point that if you're going to communicate, irrespective of what question it might be, and I'm sorry, I'm a little deaf, so I didn't hear what the question was, but basically you're communicating with young people. Let us never, ever forget that. And if you're communicating with young people, you've got to hook into their wavelength. You've got to communicate, you've got to be able to speak with them at their level. And the way of speaking with them at their level and to be able to communicate is to be one of them. In other words, sit down, don't stand up and talk, give a history lesson. Sit down with them and talk with them about matters that are of concern to them. That's the key. And that's how it was that my grandfather particularly and my late father were able to communicate so effectively. They spoke the children's language. And that's what I'm saying now. Alex, am I right or wrong?
You are right. I remember the campfire Yong and the campfire circle. In the Oriental culture, a scoutmaster, especially a good and able, competent scoutmaster, the scout worship. It is very difficult for them to sit down and talk to them in their own language. Because when I was young, I looked at my very able scoutmaster as an icon. And I worship him. And of course, I'm lucky to have good scoutmasters that instill me with the proper scout spirit. So best occasion will be during camping, during campfire, after campfire. And I remember the campfire talk, our late executive commissioner, that is the chief scout executive in my young days. He is excellent. I can still remember it was so dark, I cannot see an artificial light miles around. All I can see is the fire and the sparkling of the firewoods. And the way he talked, and then later, when the campfire is over, we sit around, and that is the time that we can talk like an equal. And then suddenly, it becomes a very, very good friend, a senior and experienced friend, and not a scoutmaster that I worship. In our society, I think more so in Indonesia and in other countries, we look at the professor as a professor, not as equal. We look at the teacher as a teacher, our guidance, and our schoolmaster is the one who leads the way. But there are occasions that you can break the barrier and then sit down and talk to them. And then that was the time that they learn most.
Absolutely.
So if in the past we have campfire, now we have Zoom fire.
Well, let's make use of it. That's what it's there for, and we're making use of it right now.
And also,
if we've got technology on our side, for goodness sake, let us use it to our benefit. And this is the great thing about the very program we're now using. It has brought all of us together for a matter of an hour or so. We would not have had that opportunity if we didn't have new technology on our side. That's true.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So I got the point. That the point of this question is communicating.
Communication.
Yes, the communication between all of the people, not only the youngsters, but also all of the generation, the old one, the young one.
Well, it's easy to overcome. A couple of years ago, in Victoria, we ran a thing called an agunaree. Let me explain. An agunaree is a special camp designed for young scouts with special needs. Didn't matter whether you're a cub or whether you're a rover scout. Didn't matter. You were still invited to attend the agunaree. And we thought, well, wait a minute. It's all very well us young scouters thinking that we ought to bring in this activity and that activity. The question is that suitable for scouts with disabilities and special needs? So the obvious answer to that is get the special needs and special scouts come and join us. So we did. And we handed over the technical arrangements to one of the local scout groups, and they organized the activities brilliantly. And we learned that was a big lesson. And my grandfather always thought that rather than the scout leader leads, and hopefully the troops will learn and follow, no. It should be the other way around. Very definitely. So the short, sharp answer is, let's take a leaf out of a book that was written over 100 years ago, called Scouting for Boys, and in there they basically say, in a nutshell, adult-sponsored, youth-led, or words to that effect. I can't remember the exact words now. But the short, sharp answer is, let the patrols do the technical work, and let us as scout leaders observe. Let's put it that way. Right or wrong, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Can I read one question? This is from Miss Marisa Adarlo. She is from Boy Scout of the Philippines. She wrote that values were instilled in our scouts. Yes, it can go on, and scouting is obvious if these values are practiced by every scout. In this time, which we refer to as the new normal, what other opportunities can we offer to our young scouts to further instill these values? Okay.
Greg, this is really where you ought to take over.
happy to take this one, Brother Bratta. I think first and foremost, we need to ensure that our scouts are kept safe and that we're not putting them in harm's way by exposing them to the virus in any way. However, in many communities around the world, there are opportunities for scouts to look at what's happening in their street, in their village, in their town, to look in on their neighbours, to look in on their relatives, in a way that they maybe never looked at their community before. And I think what we're seeing happening around the world are scouts really looking at what's happening in their local community and thinking, what can I do as an individual to help those in need? What can I do with my fellow scouts in my patrol to help other community groups who are helping to support the most vulnerable? And what can we do as an association to help communities across a country? And that's why I take some encouragement from this crisis, if you like, that's arisen from the pandemic, that it's bringing out the very best of people. And we're seeing scouts, I think, holding true to the promise that they made and living out their values. I think what it's also doing is helping scouts to realize that they're part of an interconnected movement. Typically, scouts are aware that there are other scouts in every corner of the world, but I think the global pandemic has illustrated to us just how interconnected the world is. And as a result of that, it gives us an opportunity to talk about how interconnected scouting is, and that if we seize this challenge as an opportunity, this gives us confidence that scouting is the answer to some of the big issues that are facing people and planet. Rasheed very eloquently talked about the SDOs rather than the SDGs, looking at the Sustainable Development Goals as opportunities. And I genuinely believe that there are many young people around the world that have been inspired by the community response to the pandemic, that it's making people think, crikey, if we can respond to a pandemic in this way, then how do we go about responding to these other big issues that are not going away around how we care for our planet? And that's why I have some confidence that going forward, we will see scouting step up and take its rightful place in making progress in some of the biggest issues that our politicians struggle with. But in our 1.5 million communities around the world where scouting operates, in villages, towns and cities, we can and we will make a difference without a doubt.
Thank you. I just want to share, there is one scout group in Indonesia. They deploys around 30 of their scout adults to do gardening and farming in their home yard. So they put some vegetables, fish and chickens. This is to anticipate if the pandemic goes on, then they can stay home and they can eat from that vegetables and fish and chicken from their own home yard. This is
a fantastic example.
Yes, because this is an initiative that they remain at home and keep safe, like what you're saying.
And also what you can combine today under the present circumstances is something that is very close to scouting values, personal health. What has emerged today is nothing but the core focus on personal health, which has been very close to scouting values and what we have been asking all of us to be healthy, and we have a lot of connection to be a healthy person. And I think that's some of the positive things that are reminding us because of the current situation. So as I mentioned earlier, I think it's to be positive, as Greg also mentioned, be positive rather than saying, oh, no meeting, no going out, no school. Instead of all no's, we find ways how we can take the opportunities from the current situation. What are the ways we could enrich ourselves? So I think there are more opportunities than what we have no's.
Okay. Okay. The next question is for Mr. Abdullah Rasheed. It's from Anonym. It asks about how does it feel with Scouts now, especially in Asia Pacific region, and what do you think about its potential, the Scouts in Asia Pacific region?
This is your department, Alex.
Well, in Asia, I think similar to Scouting, it's a world of its own, of diversity, of language, class, creed, whatever. So it's a world of its own. So in Asia, I think all that opportunity is there where true Scouting can survive, can be there prevailing in Asia. And it's also a large area, large region geographically, with very vast distances between one another. So in that way, even today, Asia, I think, has the potential because it has the core characteristics of true Scouting. And if going by the Scout law, by the basic fundamentals, again in Asia, you see the fundamentals, whether irrespective of religion, fundamentals is common to everybody. And as long as we don't go against the fundamentals of Scouting, that's where we can survive. Since long before, I think we all agree, right handshake was never there. It's all left handshake. But to take the various core Scouts values from one country to the other, now it's accepted that you have the right handshake. It doesn't go against the fundamental values, but we have been living coexisting with all those values from one religion, from one caste, from one country to another. So those are the beauties of Scouting. So there's a lot of challenges, but of course at the same time we have survived. There's a lot of potential, especially under today's circumstances. As I think Brother Michael mentioned, today, personally, I don't believe in politics, but it's a lot of politics. So we need to be away from politics. We should be true to values of Scouting and not be selfish. I'm unfortunate to say this, not to be selfish in our own pursuit. We should be going for the values of Scouting and not by a particular politics or particular norm of personal intervention.
I agree with Rasheed's observations. I think we have great future because we are in a great continent. We have the populations. And most important, Scouting has a good track record. The politicians look at Scouting as something positive. You don't need to tell them what is about Scouting. They know about Scouting. So in most countries, having Scouts, good Scouts means a good nation building. They see the young people are the potential of the future of the country, that the politicians know about Scouting and see Scouting as a positive value that give us a lot of leeway for further development. As long as we keep the basic, the fundamental, and the Scout value, we have a long way to go. We still have a very long way to go.
Okay. So I should say sorry because that is the last questions from our participants. And before we conclude, is there any closing statement from each of you?
Well, the only thing I would say is have fun, enjoy life, and give life a big kick yourself. That's the only thing I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And to pay back when you have the opportunity, and to pay back for what you have given if you have the opportunity.
All right.
Okay.
Opportunity.
Craig?
Thank you, Rasheed. My encouragement to all those who are following online is to reflect a little about the time that you've spent in scouting, and to consider those who have maybe not had the same opportunities as yourself, and think about what more you can do to encourage other young people and adults to step up and get involved in this great game of scouting that we know makes a difference to not just young people and their lives, but the communities that they live in, and through that to their countries. So my encouragement to all of you following online is to look out in your community and identify people that you think could join this movement and help to make a difference. But thank you to all of you for what you have been doing during these recent months and what you're doing as we move forward in this new normal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rasheed? Mr. Rasheed?
Personally, my message for the scouts would be, again, from where I started, to be practicing the values, to be believing in the values, and to abide by the values as your own accepted way of life, whether under COVID or anything. And I think if we can all be true to the values of scouting, we will all have a lot of opportunities. We will be able to survive. We will be able to move along. And another feature that I see, and especially for the leaders, my personal message is that in scouting, we have no enemies. We are all friends, whether we hold a position or no position. But I think it is slightly sometimes fading away. Once you are not in a position, you are no longer a friend. Scouting has no barriers. We are all friends. Whether you are in position, you can do scouting. And if you are not in position also, you can do scouting. You don't have to be holding a position to do scouting, because earlier point is values. So those values can be practiced, and you can be of help to others. You can be of help to the country, to the community. You don't have to have a position. Of course, there are things that you can do with a position. There are things that you can do more when you don't have a position as well. So I think if both leaders and scouts can go with that understanding, with that value, we will all be happy, and we will have good scouting, we will have fun.
Thank you.
Kak Asto, do you have any say? Kak Asto? Mic-nya di unmute. Mic-nya Kak Asto. Mic-nya ya, dihidupkan mic-nya ya.
Ya, terima kasih. Thank you very much. I think enough. Terima kasih.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kak Gusti?
Yes, Kak Gusti will officially conclude this session. I think Kak Gusti.
Yeah, thank you so very much for educate us, especially talking about values. Yeah. When we practices our scout values and bring us strong characters. I agree with Kak Michael that to be a scout, just be happy, do ourselves, and to have a good communicate with others, with the older people, with the same age, and also with the millennial. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you again and discuss more further about the value in scouting programs.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, Kak Brata.
Before Princess closing officially, I would like to inform you that after this, we will have the second sessions only for Indonesians, and we will discuss, interpret, and digest whatever you are saying during the federal dialogue. This is very beneficial for us. We are learning many things this afternoon. Kak Gusti?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Michael. Thank you, Mr. Alex Wong. Thank you, Mr. Rasheed. Thank you Kak Craig and Kak Hasto yang sudah mewakili Kak Warnas. Thank you so much and all the participants. Thank you.
Salam Pramuka.
Salam Pramuka.
Nice to
Hope
see you
to see
all.
you
Nice to
again.
see you all.
And thank you
Au
so
revoir.
much.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Okay.
Stay safe. Bye.
Okay, nice to see you, Craig. Catch up later.
Take care, Michael.
Kakak-kakak dari Gerakan Pramuka, jangan leave dulu karena kita akan bahas
Thanks, brother.
dengan
10
bahasa.
menit.
Thank you very much. Dalam bahasa Indonesia. So thank you very much again for all the participants overseas and speakers. Ini secara teknis mungkin jadi sekarang ini Kak Hasto, Kak Gusti, dan mungkin kalau ada pimpinan Kuarnas yang masih ada itu bisa ditampilkan. Mungkin sesuai arahan Kak Gusti kita 10 menit ya. Kita sekedar meringkas apa yang kita barusan dengarkan. Mungkin dari Kak Hasto ada arahan untuk mengawali ini.
Iya, terima kasih kakak-kakak sekalian, Kak Gusti, Kak Brata, dan juga kakak-kakak yang lain. Ini adalah kesempatan yang sangat baik. Pada sore hari ini kita semua sudah bisa bincang-bincang, mendengarkan berbagai pengalaman maupun pelajaran yang mungkin sangat berharga bagi kita. Mana yang diterapkan, mana yang bisa dilakukan untuk di Indonesia. Saya pikir ini adalah hal yang sangat positif. Mudah-mudahan ini juga bisa membangun lebih baik ke Pramuka Indonesia ke depannya. Ya, saya rasa itu saja. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Kak Hasto.
Kak Brata?
Ya,
ya. Saya mau menyampaikan pesan dari teman-teman. Ini mohon maaf Gusti, Kak Hasto, saya menyela sedikit bahwa kami menjanjikan teman-teman untuk menginformasikan berkaitan dengan link e-sertifikat.
Iya.
Ya, karena di YouTube ini ternyata sudah disampaikan ke teman-teman, namun ada terkendala teknis bahwa untuk teman-teman yang ingin mengakses e-certificate dapat mengakses melalui bit.ly/bp certificate. Ya.
Mungkin nanti disampaikan di chat aja supaya.
Oke, baik Kak.
Ketik di chat.
Oh iya, baik Kak, baik.
Ya, baik. Saya pikir ya itu ada dari Kak Fuad ditulis di sini katanya. Ini saya pikir gimana ya mekanisme untuk membahas ini. Mungkin diawali dari Kak Gusti, mungkin nanti terus Kak Warse, saya mungkin kalau ada.
Ya, mungkin sedikit ringkasan ya, dari apa yang disampaikan tadi. Dari semua yang disampaikan tadi, saya sih lebih strong di perihal values ya. Jadi bagaimana kita ini menjalankan dasar dharma yang sangat luar biasa, kemudian juga tentunya Trisatya. Kemudian apabila kita menjalankan itu, kita percaya bahwa kita akan mempunyai strong karakter ya. Jadi juga tadi saran dari Baden Powell bahwa ya sudah kita enjoy life saja gitu. Di kepramukaan ini kan semuanya happy, tapi bagaimana juga kita menjalankan value, kemudian juga kita harus mempunyai komunikasi yang bagus gitu. Baik untuk yang senior, kemudian yang sebaya, kemudian juga tentunya yang anak muda. Jadi bagaimana pramuka itu adalah semua teman, semua keluarga besar, tidak ada musuh gitu ya. Jadi bagaimana kita membaur bersama-sama, karena pramuka adalah sesuatu yang fun gitu, sesuatu yang menarik begitu. Begitu Kak dari saya.
Terima kasih. Ya, mungkin
ada satu poin saya tambahkan ya. Saya menggarisbawahi apa yang disampaikan Gusti, tapi ada satu hal yang sangat diulang-ulang oleh Michael, yaitu kita ini kalau ingin menarik generasi muda untuk pramuka itu, kita duduk dengan mereka, mendengarkan aspirasi mereka, kemudian supaya kita berpikir seperti dari diri mereka. Jadi empati kita pada mereka. Saya kira ini satu hal yang perlu kakak-kakak kita semua di Jogja misalnya, bagaimana merencanakan kegiatan itu dengan pertama kali itu semacam needs assessment gitu ya. Jadi duduk sama mereka. Itu satu poin yang saya dengar kok Michael tuh lebih fanatik gitu ya, sit with them sampai dia tidak duduk di kursi tapi duduk sama-sama lesehan lah gitu ya. Ya padahal kita punya itu duduk sama tinggi, apa istilahnya itu paribahasa kita kan gitu ya. Ada itu tidak ini. Jadi bukan ngatur tapi listen to them. Ini satu poin yang sangat bagus sekali itu.
Iya, terima kasih. Ini ngomong-ngomong YouTube masih bertahan semua ya kakak-kakak dari seluruh Indonesia. Baik, saya kira terima kasih Kak Gusti, Kak Warsih. Jadi memang betul. Jadi Kak Michael Baden Powell ini sangat bersemangat ya. Ternyata walaupun umur 80 itu tetap bertenaga dan dia berkali-kali mengemukakan pentingnya resiliensi, daya tahan. Jadi ini kaitannya dengan COVID memang. Jadi dia sendiri yakin COVID-19 ini akan lewat. Nanti cuman kapannya belum tahu, tapi akan lewat dan kita akan boleh kembali ke alam terbuka. Itu keyakinan dia. Jadi sebetulnya sama dengan Abdullah Rasheed, jangan turn around, jangan pokoknya jalan aja terus.
Hadapi saja.
Hadapi dengan happy, fun. Lalu Alex juga melihat bahwa scouting ini nggak ada alasan untuk berubah ya. Jadi terus jalan, dia lihat dan ini karena scouting ini relevan dengan perdamaian, dengan kehidupan bersama yang aman, tentram ya, bersama-sama, create harmony ya. Dia mengatakan bahwa ya bersamaan. Pramuka Pakistan dan India itu memang negaranya bertikai tapi pramukanya tetap berteman ya. Bangladesh dengan Pakistan ya.
Yahudi dengan Palestina yang tadi itu loh.
Dan Palestina betul, dan dia berkunjung ke Laos, katanya Laos sudah mulai membuka kepramukaan di sana. Lalu Abdullah Rasheed yang beliau karena pengalaman 11 tahun sebagai Regional Director di Asia Pasifik, jadi dia tahu persis situasi di Asia Pasifik. Dia mengatakan bahwa memang SDG, Sustainable Development Goals ini bisa untuk scouting, untuk pramukaan dijadikan SDO, jadi Sustainable Development Objective. Ini menarik untuk para penegak, Rovers, karena ini konkret. Dia tadi menyebut dasar dharma dan dia tahu bahwa di Indonesia ada saka-saka, ada 11 saka. Nah itu 17 tujuan SDG itu diterjemahkan bisa itu berlaku untuk 11 saka. Semuanya bisa
tercover ya.
Ya, semuanya bisa di-cover. Jadi Abdullah Rasheed lah yang menekankan apapun yang terjadi di dunia, core value. Jadi scout, laws and promise itu akan tetap hidup. Walaupun anak-anak nggak boleh lagi camping, tapi scout values. Kemudian kan saya sempat challenge bahwa bagaimana anak-anak belajar scout value kalau selama ini daya tariknya itu kan ke alam terbuka.
Ya.
Scout value dititipkan melalui permainan, nah jadi terhadap itu memang dia tidak terlalu memuaskan saya dalam menjawab. Memang anak-anak kalau diajarin apalagi online itu ya nggak tertarik kan, anak-anak maunya kan dibawa ke dunia bermain. Jadi ini challenge-nya untuk teknologi. Saya pikir itu jadi ini bagus sekali yang kita pelajari, kita dengarkan hari ini, mudah-mudahan bermanfaat. Dan tentu nanti dengan bantuan Kak Asto kita bisa menyampaikan ini kepada Kak Warnas dan pimpinan Warnas semua. Dari saya terima kasih nih Kak Gusti, Kak Warsih, Nasa. Oh ya, tadi dari Nasa ada tambahan nggak?
Ya, sepertinya sudah banyak disampaikan oleh Kak Brata juga Kak Warsi, serta Gusti dan juga Kak Hasto. Mungkin saya sebagai salah satu dari Rover Scout atau pramuka penegak di Indonesia, khususnya di Yogyakarta, saya merasa sangat terhormat dan juga mengucapkan terima kasih banyak atas dukungan kakak sekalian dalam kegiatan ini, dan juga saya mengucapkan terima kasih banyak dan mohon maaf bila saya banyak kekurangan ataupun kesalahan. Dan sesuai dengan pesan Kak Michael Baden Powell tadi, bahwa memang salah satu ciri dari teman-teman Rover atau teman-teman penegak itu adalah ingin didengarkan dan ingin dipahami secara hati ke hati. Jadi bukan secara orang yang lebih tua dengan orang yang lebih muda, namun kita secara teman. Iya, bahwa kita dapat dipahami karena kita pastinya juga punya banyak inspirasi ataupun hal-hal yang ingin kita keluarkan, namun terkadang kita terkendala oleh beberapa hal. Mungkin itu sekali lagi saya merasa sangat terhormat bisa menjadi moderator pada hari ini, yang bahkan didukung oleh co-host yang keren, Kak Brata dan mewakili dari Partai Nasional, Kak Warsi dari Andalan Kuarda, bahkan Kak Warsi ini Waka Kuarda, teman-teman semuanya, dan juga Gusti yang sudah memberikan saya kesempatan untuk menjadi moderator pada hari ini, dan juga Kak Hasto, terima kasih atas berkenannya hadir pada webinar hari ini. Mungkin itu dari saya, dan juga untuk informasi tambahan, mohon izin Kak untuk yang membutuhkan link akses ke sertifikat, silahkan mengakses link nanti yang akan tertunjuk di belakang saya ini, dan akan segera kami sesuaikan dan juga konfigurasikan, dan bila ada permasalahan bisa langsung menghubungi kami. Mungkin itu saja Kak, terima kasih banyak, salam Pramuka.
Ya, terima kasih Nasa. Jadi Nasa sudah mencatat sejarah ini ya. Dialog ini sejarah pertama kali Kak Hasto di dunia.
Luar biasa.
Dialog seorang cucu Bapak Pramuka Indonesia dengan cucu Baden Powell ya. Dan saya mohon maaf apabila sepanjang acara ini ada hal-hal yang kurang berkenan, mungkin kata-kata saya sepanjang persiapan. Saya terima kasih
Kak. Dari mana itu ya?
Ya Kak Asta.
Nasa dari DIY.
Oh, Nasa dari DIY Kak, penegak. Ya. Oh, ya Kakak, rupanya Kak Hasto mau melantik Nasa jadi ketua DKN langsung.
Kak Mangkubumi ya.
Ya, saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada teman-teman di ruang redaksi ya, Kak Andri, Kak Hanafi, Kak Lukman, Kak Tuti, Kak Ipet, Kak Krido, Kak Fitri, waduh ini banyak sekali, Kak Esti, Kak Dimas, Kak Taufik ya. Jadi luar biasa ini Kak Gusti ini punya tim yang bisa diandalkan. Kerja sampai malam Kak Hasto. Tadi malam rupanya nggak pada tidur ini, jadi ini
terus itu.
Kak Hasto perlu datang ke Jogja ini untuk melihat betapa semangat, dan ini semua untuk Pramuka Indonesia.
Nunggu undangan Kak Mangku.
Siap. Ya itu dari saya Kak Gusti, monggo silakan Kak Warsih, monggo.
Namun saya kira kita sangat bersyukur. Yang saya sangat bangga adalah Nasa sebagai penegak mampu moderatori, dan itu cukup hidup. Itu sesuatu yang padahal kemarin kan kelihatannya tidak yakin ya, tapi ternyata yakin. Bagus kan Nasa gitu. Jadi selamat Nasa. Saya bangga nanti generasi muda akan lebih kuat ya dari ini itu. Saya kira itu. Dan tentu saja terima kasih sekali nih karena dorongan Kak Gusti ini. Mesti yang muda-muda dong yang maju gitu.
Muda itu singkatan loh Kak. Muda itu singkatan. Muka kuda kali.
Gitu toh. Makasih Kak Brata selama ini dukung sekali
Kak
ini.
Brata yang luar biasa juga nih Kak Brata.
Ya. Kita harus kasih award ini Gusti sama Kak Brata ini.
Iya.
Enggak lah. Ini untuk Pramuka. Jadi mungkin Kak Gusti sekaligus menutup Kak Gusti. Ya.
Oke, sekali lagi saya mengucapkan banyak terima kasih Kak Brata, Kak Warsih, dan semua yang mendukung acara ini hingga bisa terselenggara dengan baik, dengan lancar.
Amin.
Dan juga tadi yang dari negara-negara juga banyak yang bergabung gitu. Juga saya mengucapkan banyak terima kasih yang sudah join di YouTube. Mudah-mudahan juga bisa mengakses sertifikat itu gitu ya. Mudah-mudahan saya tadi udah coba yang ini bisa kok, bisa dibuka gitu. Jadi
maaf Kak Gusti, yang saya surprise itu Direktur P itu tidak kita undang secara resmi, kita hanya memberitahu dan dia ikut dari awal sampai akhir.
Betul itu.
Itu luar biasa.
Tadinya rencana juga kan
rekaman.
Beliau itu kan 1 jam ya, tapi ternyata 2 jam full bisa sangat luar biasa.
Itu prestasi Kak Gusti.
Iya, Michael pun juga sampai bisa bertahan 2 jam.
Ya, kalau dia memang kemarin senang sekali 2 jam. Kita harus syukuran nih.
Ini semua karena Kak Gusti ini.
Terima kasih banyak semua para pembicara, Kak Hasto, Pak sudah mewakili Kak Warnas.
Sami-sami, terima kasih.
Semua yang sudah join di YouTube. Mudah-mudahan semua bisa sukses, salam sehat dari Jogja. Mudah-mudahan semuanya diberi perlindungan, kesehatan, keselamatan dan semuanya.
Amin.
Matur nuwun, mudah-mudahan ini tidak yang terakhir, tapi kita memulai dari Kode DIY untuk Indonesia, untuk nasional, untuk internasional dan seterusnya. Terima kasih, mudah-mudahan semua bisa berprestasi. Selamat istirahat. Karena kemarin-kemarin 3 hari kita full day.
Betul. From Jogja.
Terima kasih semua.
Salam, nanti ketemu lagi
salam
di Jogja.
Sehat dari Jogja.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam Pramuka.
Salam Pramuka. Matur nuwun.
Izin living.
Yeay, monggo matur nuwun.
Kita sering gede.
5 menit. Oke.